everybody doing? It is time for our first episode of the grading show. Today is our first episode. I'm very excited. So it's kind of like we got to have a little celebration going on in here today too. For the people that are not watching live, because I know a lot of people are probably not going to watch live, but that's okay. Anyways, good morning, everybody. I hope to start with, hope everybody's having a good morning. And yeah, welcome to our first episode. Today is Saturday. It is the 13th or the 12th. It's the 13th. It is 8:07 a.m. here in Tampa, Florida, where I'm currently present. So, how's everybody doing this fine morning? For me, it's pretty sunny out, so I'm doing pretty good, just chilling, relaxing, getting my day started. You guys already know, just got done smoking, took my shower this morning. Um, as you guys also know, I'm a young father. Baby has not woken up yet, thank God, even though it's early morning and she usually wakes up early morning to eat, which is crazy because I don't eat in the morning. Babies do. I don't eat in the morning. I'm not a morning eater. I don't know. You guys let me know. You guys morning eaters? Me, I don't really like to eat in the morning. Just something to do with my stomach for some reason. I don't know. Anything that I eat in the morning just doesn't settle. Like I could eat anything. It can be something very, very light. It could be a piece of bread and it won't settle with my stomach. So I don't know. I'll eat it and then I'll end up like gagging. It's weird. So, other than that, I can drink. You know what I mean? I have water right here. I can drink liquids, but eating, no. And usually I can do smoothies too. Sometimes I can drink a smoothie and the smoothie works better for me. Like I said, just because like I'm more really drinking as a liquid and I'm not eating it as a solid. So it's a little easier for me to do that in the mornings than to go and like eat a whole meal. Um, I don't know, just doesn't really settle with my stomach. But yeah. Anyways, I got a bunch of different topics planned out today. I got a bunch of things that I want to talk about. I have a couple of planned things we're going to talk about this morning. Um, First things first, so this is our first episode. So if you guys are rather watching live or if you guys are watching after the fact, make sure you guys leave a like, make sure you guys share. This is our first episode. So I'm really trying to spread the word as I really want to get this project lifted off the ground. This is something that I want to do. And I'm very excited. I'm very excited for this new journey on the channel and for Team Ghost and for your boy's Twitter page. Oh, we got a first like. Thank you for liking. I appreciate it. How's everybody doing? But yeah, just really trying to get this, big, trying to get this lifted off the ground. Like I said, this is something that I've been working on for a little bit. So, you know what I mean? I'm not much of a morning person, so you guys should be happy that I'm waking up in the morning and turning on the camera and so you guys can see me. Um, because I'm not really used to this, but it's okay. We're gonna get there together. Anyways, though, good morning, everybody. I'm going to start off with a couple of topics I want to talk about. First thing I want to talk about in the gaming news, Black Ops 7 versus Battlefield. As you guys know, the final reveal trailer for Black Ops 7 has been released. No beta. We haven't seen any like real gameplay besides what we've seen from the trailers, which honestly looks just like Black Ops 6 to me. Like it looks just like Black Ops 6 if you were to put like a Black Ops 2 skin over it, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't like the new direction, I guess you could say, with this. Like, I don't know, because ever since you see like Modern Warfare 2019 or no, I'm sorry, Black Ops Cold War, Black Ops Cold War. Ever since Black Ops Cold War, it's kind of been like the same thing in a way, you know what I mean? Kinda like how it's been for Modern Warfare as well, it's like, "Stop the missiles, stop the missiles." That's the you know what I mean? It's the same thing every game, you know what I mean? We've had 3 games now where it's been nothing but stopping the missiles, you know what I mean? And then, we get a couple of, characters added in from the OG series, like, Makarov or, Captain Price or Ghost, but honestly, sometimes at some points, it feels like those characters are just fillers. You know what I mean? Like, we're doing the same thing every year. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we get the same game every year. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Not even fully made. Let's keep in mind, the games are not even fully finished when they come out. You know what I mean? So we get these, half-baked games when they first come out, and we're doing the same thing over and over and over again, you know? And it's to the point to where it's like, at some point, we need a reboot or something, you know what I mean? We rebooted Modern Warfare in 2019, and look where that got us, you know what I mean? It hasn't gotten us anywhere. It's terrible. Um, for Battlefield, though, I feel like this year, like I said, because you see with Battlefield, we only get these games, like, every what, like 4 years or something, you know what I mean? When was the last Battlefield game released? Battlefield 2042, was it 2021, I think? So, about almost 4 years, let's just say about almost let's say every 4 years, okay, we'll get a Battlefield game. The last Battlefield game didn't do too good. Um, it is what it is. I guess that's what we expect with all games now, though, you know what I mean? We all expect games these days, not to be the best, which is quite sad, you know what I mean? I feel like we should, I mean, we're paying this money, we're paying these companies all this money, we should at least get a game, that works, at least works and has some content. You know what I mean? It's sad. So, but for Battlefield 6 though, I played the beta a little bit. For some of you guys that don't know, I just had a newborn baby, so while the beta came out, both betas, my baby was just born, so I barely had like a little bit of time to play them. But for the time that I did play them, um, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It kind of gave me that feeling of Battlefield 4 and like Battlefield 3. I didn't play those games when they first came out back in the day, but I played them recently more. I picked up the Battlefield games and I played them. And it does have that feel of Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. Uh, it's I feel like it does have, like I said, has that feel, but it also has that, that feeling of what's that word I'm looking for? What's that word I'm looking for? I don't know. I'll think about it. Oh, to people in the comments, I'm sorry, I'm just now seeing y'all's messages. How's everybody doing? It sucked. I'm guessing you're talking about Battlefield 2042. Yeah, it is. It ain't the best. How long have you been streaming? Not that long. I just recently started streaming. I used to stream like 2023, 2022, but I stopped. I'm just not picking it back up. But good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing? But yeah, no. For Battlefield 6, though, from what I've seen so far, I honestly think I honestly think they're doing way better, and I feel like they're trying way harder than what Treyarch are doing and what Activision is doing. Uh, you know what I mean? It looks like what we're asking for, which is crazy because the last time we've had this situation, which is back in 2017, if you guys don't remember, um, we had what was it? It was Battlefield 1 and I want to say Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Both those games released at the same time. And it's like the Call of Duty fans at the time, that's exactly what they were asking for, you know what I mean? Return to the roots, you know what I mean? Go back to boots on the ground, do something simple. And that's exactly what Battlefield did. And, you know, you see exactly how that ended, how it started. And I feel like that's exactly what this year is probably honestly going to be. I feel like it's going to be a repeat of that. And I feel like Activision really are shaking in their boots, you know what I mean? They're trying to play it all off as if, they're not scared, they're not really worried about it or whatever. But I really think they honestly need to do something because usually every year, I'm not gonna lie, I do pre-order every Call of Duty, but this year it ain't happening. I'm not taking, what I mean? If they can't take time and effort to put, you know what I mean, love and care into a game that we're paying for, by the way, and that they keep, and the amount for these games are crazy, by the way. How much is the new Call of Duty this year? It's almost like $80. I'm not gonna pay $80 for a half-baked game that I'm not gonna enjoy. I pre-ordered Black Ops 6, which I shouldn't have because I had it for free on the Game Pass, but I pre-ordered it for my PlayStation as well. But when I pre-ordered that game, I probably only touched that game probably like 12 times since I've gotten it, which is sad because I was like, you know what? Okay, maybe maybe it will be different. And it's sad that I have to think that every year. Every year we have to think that, oh, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be different. And it's not. It's the same half-baked game that they release every year with the same mechanics. But besides this year, or last year, they added the Omni movement, but you know what I mean? Which the community doesn't even like. The half the time when I go into Twitter or Instagram, all I'm seeing is people saying, "Oh, we don't like the Omni movement. Take the Omni movement." You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's insane. And it's like anything that they do try to do to make the games better, if anything, it just makes it worse. So it I don't know, it's funny at this point. It is. It's funny, it's embarrassing. What's up, everybody? The Beast, what's up? Hey man, how you doing? How's everybody doing? Sorry, I'm trying to read the chat and also talk at the same time, but my chat is also not pulling up for some reason. GameStop got closed. GameStop got Yeah, see, that's another thing too. A lot if y'all didn't notice, like, a lot of these GameStop stores are going out of business. I had, what was it, 2 years ago, a GameStop that I used to go to ever since I was a kid closed down right next to me as well too. I remember going there as a kid too. I had a lot of good memories actually going to that GameStop. We used to have, like, a restaurant that was, right next to it that me and my family used to go to, like, right after we went to GameStop, and it was a good time, but it was very sad seeing it get closed down. But I feel like that's just, I really do feel like recently, as of now too, maybe for like the last 3 years, maybe like the last 2 years, let's say the last 2 years, um, I've seen it where the gaming industry, it feels like it's just coming down to like, it feels like it's just collapsing. You know what I mean? It's sad. I feel like nobody's playing as much as they used to. Um, you know what I mean? Even people, big fans of, different, game genre. You know what I mean? Like Halo fans, Destiny fans, like skate fans, for instance. Just all these fans. I feel like it's sad because it's like there's not the same hype. You know what I mean? There used to be like this joy and this fun of coming home and getting on the game, and it's just like now when you come home, you don't. You know what I mean? You don't feel the same way. At least I don't. I don't feel the same way anymore, and it's quite sad. Um. Uh. But hopefully with the new games that are coming out soon, which a couple of them do look interesting, hopefully those will be different per se. One of the games I am excited for, by the way, that I do see that's coming out, is Skate. If you guys don't know what Skate is, it's a couple of games I used to play when I was little. Made by EA. Unfortunately, that's the only thing I'm not looking forward to is that the game is made by EA. But obviously, I feel like we all seen that coming. So, me personally, I like Fortnite. Hey, you know what? I have a lot of friends that play Fortnite, so I'm around that game a lot as well. I see a lot of people. I have a lot of friends that play Fortnite. Anytime that I'm usually getting on the game or whatever, I'll get in the because I hardly ever get time to get on the game, but whenever I do get on the game, I usually have that one friend that's like, "You down to play Fortnite?" I'm like, I guess I'll get on a game with you." You know what I mean? Because it's like, at that point, it's like, what else am I gonna do? You know what I mean? Am I gonna get on Black Ops 6? It's basically the same thing. You know what I mean? Am I gonna go play Rocket League? I don't play Rocket League, but, I'm not I feel like all these games are almost, built the same, and I feel like it's because of the developers, and that's exactly what it is. They're getting money hungry. And it is, it is very sad. Folks, I am sorry. Give me like 2 minutes. I'll be right back. Give me like a 2 minute break. I'll be with you guys in 1 second. Anyway, sorry, I'm back. I apologize for that. I had to get my notes out. Like I said, I'm just jumping back into this, so I wanted to make sure I got my notes back out and stuff so that way I could read over everything. Um, but yeah, no, where were we? Anyways, though, yeah, it is. It's like every game that I get on, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Either I'm gonna get on, and it happens. Like I said, same thing for every game. I'll get on. I'll play my first game. Okay, play my second game. You know what I mean? Okay, all right. Third game. By the time that third game is done, I'm off. I'm off. I'm off. And it's sad because I used to sit there and I would play for like at least 30 minutes now. Probably only for like 15 minutes. But unless I'm playing like, one of my skateboarding games, you know what I mean? Tony Hawk's Pro Skater or one of the old skate games. But speaking of skate, I think that's where we were. The up and coming skate game. I heard the early access is coming out within should be a couple of days now, within maybe like 4 to 3 days. It should be out. I'm very excited for that as well. That also looks like it could be a good game. Um, I see a lot of clips of it. I don't know. Anytime, anytime I get on Instagram or Twitter, man, that's all I see is uh clips from that game. But it does look pretty good. It does. It does. Like I said, the only thing that I got to complain about is it's made by EA, but Battlefield is also made by EA. But who knows? Maybe these games could be their turnaround point. Um, you know what I mean? Maybe these games could be their turnaround point. But I am excited for Skate. I just hope. You know what I mean? Obviously, I know it's gonna be like the old skate games, but I wonder what they're going to incorporate new. You know what I mean? 'Cause I feel like you can only do so much with skateboarding games. You know what I mean? With like the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games and the old Skate franchise. I feel like there's only so much you could do. Cause I remember in Skate 1, it was strictly just skating. And then Skate 2, they added the physics to where, you could move things. Um, you could move things around, like different objects and stuff, you can move things around the map or whatever. They also had it to where you could get off your skateboard and stuff. I'm pretty sure they just picked up the pace with Skate 3. Warface, I think I've heard of that game. I wanna say if we're talking about the same game, maybe. Is it a shooter game? Because I've seen like almost like it's like Call of Duty. Yeah, okay, so I've seen a shooter, kinda like extraction game, kinda like that, called Warface. I wanna say I played it a while back, honestly. I don't know, if I did, it's been too long to remember, but I do remember hearing about a game called Warface, yes. But you know what is it's surprisingly though, smaller games like that, like games that are not as well known, surprisingly, if you go and play them, you'll have more fun on those games than you do like Call of Duty or Fortnite or, your Marvel Rivals. If you go and play those games, you will have a lot more fun. Like I remember when Fall Guys first came out, um, and everybody was playing Fortnite and stuff like that around the time, GTA, Red Dead or whatever, and Fall Guys had just came out, and I remember getting on Fall Guys for a little bit 'cause I was like, "Well, it's not much of a serious game, I'm just gonna get on and, play around," and that's exactly what it was. I ended up getting addicted to that game for, like, a whole summer because of, how fun it was. But it's true, honestly, it's all about trying new games these days. I think that's what it's about, if you go and that's what I tell people too. If you're not happy with a game that you're playing, like Call of Duty or Battlefield or Grand Theft Auto, and it could be any game that you're playing, Dead by Daylight. If you're not if you play those games, you come home and you play those games 24/7, or if that's all you do is play video games, but you play strictly those games, you're gonna get bored. You know what I mean? It's gonna get miserable after a while because you know, I that's one big thing I do suggest to gamers though. Go and try something new. Go try play other games, you know what I mean? Look for newer games. Um, you know what I mean? Obviously, I do a little bit of skateboarding, but I didn't play any of the skate games until 2 years ago. You know what I mean? I was just bored and I was like, let me go play a couple of skate games. And I ended up really enjoying them. Ended up really enjoying them. Like I said, it wasn't nothing I was being serious about. I just hopped on, started playing, but ended up really enjoying them. Ended up putting like almost 100 hours into those games. It's crazy. Yeah, it could be true too. But no, definitely. But I am excited for this new skate game. Like I said, I'm a big skate fan. I'm a big skate guy, so I'm excited for the new skate game. And like I said, if you know what I mean, maybe that's a game that you could go and even try. You know what I mean? It's going to be free to play on all platforms, I believe. So, you know what I mean? Maybe you could go and just hop in. You know what I mean? Even if you don't like it, even if you don't skateboard, but maybe, you could just go in, hop in, try to, try a couple of challenges, try a couple of the, whatever missions or whatever they have on there, whatever, whatever kind of modes they have on there. Just try it out for a little bit. You know what I mean? See what you think. Like I said, you're not spending any money. It's free. You know what I mean? That's the good part about it. It's made by EA, but it's free. So, I don't know. Unless maybe you download the application and then you launch it and then they make you pay to sign in. Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, that's another thing. It's gaming can also become boring too because of that reason too. I feel like, replaying like a bunch of easy games as well. Um, I'm not gonna lie, that's what I used to do a while back when I first got into gaming. I used to play everything on easy mode too. I'm not gonna lie to you. You can make fun of me, you can do whatever you want in the chat, but yes, I used to play on easy mode a lot back then. Uh, but we upped it to normal mode, so we're okay now. You know what I mean? It's been like one move up since like 10 years. But yeah, I am very excited about the skate game. Very excited. Like I said, but it does look crazier, you know what I mean, than Skate 3. Because Skate 3, you know what I mean, you had obviously like these crazy maps and stuff, and obviously you had it to where you could always build your own map, but um Skate 4 does look insane, you got ramps on top of skyscrapers, people flying through the sky. It's crazy. It does look insane. I'm not gonna lie, it does look different from what Skate 3 and the original skates were. But like I said, I wonder what what new modes and new challenges and stuff they're going to incorporate. Like, you know what I mean? Because there's only so much you could do for a skate game. You know what I mean? Before you obviously start adding in ridiculous shit like the new skate is going to do. I can definitely guarantee that. Another game I'm excited about that was just announced, literally just announced. I want to say like almost like 4 weeks ago. Is Halloween. Halloween the game. Very, very excited. I don't know how much of you guys are into horror, but I am very excited for it. I have the 2018 Nintendo. It's in better shape than brothers. Hey, there you go. That's all that matters. As long as it's in better shape than your brothers. I have two younger brothers, so anything that I have is usually in better shape than theirs too. Okay, now that's definitely a big flex, especially if it's from 2018 and your brother has a newer one and yours is still in better shape. At that point, I would just tell your parents, like, listen, let me get the new Nintendo. Let me get the new Nintendo. You can give my brother this one. That's crazy. But yeah, no, everything I usually have is better than my two younger brothers too. And they're way younger than me too, so but no, the new Halloween game. I am very excited for it. Being made by Gun Media, or maybe by 20, maybe in 2020, okay. But made by Gun Media, the same developers that developed the Friday the 13th game and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. Um What I'm worried about is I'm pretty sure both of those games got abandoned. I'm 100% sure the Friday the 13th game got abandoned, because of the rights issue. There was, like, a big lawsuit with that. So I remember they went through a big lawsuit with the Friday the 13th, game and the, maker of the franchise, the original movie franchise. Uh, there was some legal battle going on there for a couple of years too as well. I remember that going down. I wanna say it started in 2017. And then I wanna say it finally, like, all was over with, like, by the time, like, the end of 2021, which is crazy. A long, long, long legal battle, but, But yeah, no, I wanna know your guys' thoughts on the new Halloween game. Are you guys horror fans? Do you guys think you guys would be playing it? Um, are you guys just not a horror people? Do you guys not your thing? And if so, that's okay. Like I said, but you could always try something new. Again, if horror isn't your thing and you're used to shooter games or sports games or whatever it may be, it's like I said, it's always good to, jump into different genres as well and just to, try new things. Um, you know what I mean? Uh, yeah, what's y'all's thoughts on Halloween? I personally am excited for the fact that I think one thing that I can look forward to and something that I truly believe, I feel like it's not going to be like the normal survival horror, like a Dead by Daylight or the Friday the 13th game. I feel like it is going to be like its, own one-off thing where it's like there's a whole different new objective. You know what I mean? Which I'm excited to see, and I'm excited for what characters they're gonna bring in. Um, you know what I mean? We already seen what Michael Myers looks like, which honestly, pretty good. Pretty good. I think he does look pretty good. See you later, gotta go. Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully, I'll see you next time. Good morning. I hope you have a wonderful day. Hope you have a blessed day. And stay tuned for more. Thanks for stopping by, my man. But, no, but, like, back what I was saying, I think Michael does look very good. I think it's hard to make Michael look good animated or in a video game, regardless. So, I think they did a very good job with making him look like a good shape, a good Michael. I think, he looks, um, very good. Um Another thing I'm excited for is I heard, not only is there going to be its own, co-op mode or whatever, where it's like Friday the 13th or Dead by Daylight. I heard they're also going to have a campaign, a story mode, which is interesting because Gun Media has never developed a story mode for um, the Friday the 13th game or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. Um, so with that being said, I do remember that. Well, I do remember them doing what was that little mode they did where you could go around in the little director mode and stuff, and like there's little Easter eggs you could do. They did have that, but it wasn't like a story mode. You know what I mean? It was morely of just like a little Easter egg thing. But this is supposed to be its whole like full blown mode, like its full it's gonna be a full mode, like a whole like one-off thing. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see what they do with it. And supposedly it is gonna take place in the 1977 timeline, so the original timeline. So that'd be interesting to see if it rather takes place before the movie or after the movie, especially with everything that's going on with the rights or with everything that's going on with the universe right now. I'm pretty sure, they could do anything with it. But if they were smart, they would do it take place after the movie. But I'm very excited for it. Excited to see what that, little campaign mode is gonna be about. I know it's probably not gonna be long though, you know what I mean? It'll probably be like maybe like a 4-hour long mode or something, you know what I mean? But which is fine. That's fine though, you know what I mean? That's okay. That's okay, you know what I mean? At least it's something. I'm definitely gonna be playing, definitely gonna be jumping in and playing. Um, and like I said, and the only concern I have is the thing with the rights, like I said, because I don't know what happened with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. I haven't played that game since it came out, but from the research that I did, it seems like the same thing is happened with what happened with the Friday the 13th. Not exactly the whole lawsuit thing, but I guess, they lost to the rights to the Texas Chainsaw or something like that. Something with the rights of losing the rights. So that could be annoying, but we've had Michael for a while in Dead by Daylight, so you know what I mean? But we have also had Bubba in Dead by Daylight for a little bit, but those rights get switched on and off too, so who knows? But, that's why I do recommend if you are gonna play the game, I would try to definitely play within the first 2 years for sure, before, you know, anything else happens. Anything else we need to talk about for gaming? Trying to think. We wrapped up skate, talked about Halloween. I think that's it, folks. I think we can move on to our boxing portion of things, which I'm very, very excited to talk about. Getting into boxing. I just got done playing Undisputed boxing game, which is really fun boxing game. But going into boxing. I am very excited. We have an exciting fight on our hands and an amazing card on our hands with Bud versus Canelo. Canelo versus Crawford. I'm very excited for this fight. Um, I feel like this fight is going to be one for the books. I feel like this fight is going to be the biggest fight of the decade. Mark my words, for sure. Mark my words. I think this fight will be the biggest fight of the decade. Um, I'm I'm very excited. Um, I want to know what y'all's thoughts are. I want to know what y'all's predictions are. Um, because I feel like this fight is also very hard to predict coming into it. It is very hard. Uh, you have the people that are siding with Canelo. You got this people that are siding with Bud. Um, but most importantly, what I'm concerned about is the whole weight thing. You know what I mean? Where you have Bud coming up, and you know what I mean? It's that's the only thing. That's the only thing that I'm personally concerned about. Um, Give me 1 second. Give me another 2-minute break real quick, you guys. I am so sorry. I'll be right back. Anyways, sorry. We are back. I am very apologize for these little breaks. Like I said, I'm a father, so every once in a while I gotta step in and help. Um, anyways, back to what we were talking about. Canelo versus Crawford. Anyways, I've been watching the lead up. I'm not gonna lie to you, boxing for me personally has been a little stale recently. I haven't been watching much Misfits. I watched a little bit of the last event. Usually I watch the full events. I'm there for like every event, but last event that took place was the last weekend or the weekend before that. I wasn't really present for the whole live stream, but I did watch the highlights afterwards, of course. But like I said, I haven't been watching much boxing recently or MMA or anything like that. But I have been watching the lead up to this fight. Of course, I had to. I have to be there for this legendary face off. Got to be here for this bout. But I am very excited, and I want to know what you guys think of this fight as well, and whose side you're on. Honestly, I'm going to be completely 100% honest. I honestly don't know. I do not know who I think is going to win. But what I will tell you is I'm also in the scenario of my heart is telling me Crawford and my brain is telling me Canelo. You know what I mean? Personally, I follow both fighters. I think both men are very talented at what they do, and I look at both of them as legends in the sport of boxing. Um, and I respect them, both men, 100%. Uh, but yeah, this one, it's very close, man. It's close, and then I see the people online talking about, oh, um, comparing who's more in shape. I feel like this don't matter. This don't matter what people look like going into a fight. Now, of course, this does, personally, I think, and I was always told, from my boxing coach, you know, shape may not matter in a fight. It may not be important, but it shows the hard work and it shows the dedication and the time and effort that a person put into their training camp. And I 100% believe that, you know what I mean? If you come in there looking like somebody like Deji on fight night, you know what I mean? It just shows how you took the fight camp. But if you come in there with a six pack and you come in there looking like how Canelo looks right now, then it shows that you have been taking it serious. It does show that you have been working hard. It does show that, this isn't just a gimmick to you, that this is a lifestyle to you. This is what you do. Um, and like I said, both men look great, um, on both sides, but I do see people saying, "Oh, who looks better?" Rah, 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 rah." It's just crazy, but people do forget the massive, the weight difference going into this fight. Canelo is, um, obviously a bigger man than Crawford is, but uh, going into this bout, I am very excited to see since both men are down to the exact same weight. And I seen that last night. I thought that was very funny. But I am very excited for fight night. Um, but yeah, no, I thought that was very funny that both men are actually at the exact same weight. 175.5, I think it is that both men are at, I believe, or something like that. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be very wrong on that, but correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, no, I'm very excited for this fight. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys are tuning into the fight. I definitely will be, depending on how late it goes, because I do have work in the morning. But if not, obviously, I'll just watch some of the clips and I'll let you guys know what my thoughts are from there. So yeah, um, I'm also very excited to see uh how this event's going to be now that we have, Dana White working an event, which honestly I am excited for. I seen him chatting his shit towards what's his name? The CEO of from Matchroom Boxing, Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn, him and Eddie Hearn went at it. Pretty. I know they're close friends or whatever, but some friendly competition going into that. You know what I mean? Because now that you have Dana White, obviously promoting almost one of the biggest fights today. Promoting one of the biggest fights today. Seeing them go back and forth. I thought that was pretty interesting, and I do like to see, some competition like that, so that'd definitely be fun. Maybe they can even, put on an event together where they have some of their, they pick fighters to go against each other. I think that would be pretty interesting. I don't know. Let's see what Turkey Al Sheikh thinks. All right, I can ask Turkey Al Sheikh. That's all up to him. But which by the way, massive respect towards Turkey. I think what he's doing for the sport is that's exactly what we need. I think like I said recently, the sport has been stale, but having him come in to the sport, things have been, fresh, things have been different, and I love it. I mean, I feel like the sport of boxing is starting to come back in its own way. You know what I mean? Um, Definitely not how it used to be in the 90s or even the 80s, but I definitely think boxing is coming back in its own way. And you love to see it, you really do. It's amazing. Uh, Another thing that I want to talk about. I know we spoke about it a little bit in the beginning before I got into the topic of Canelo and Crawford, but Misfits 22 wrapped up. What was that? Last weekend, weekend before that. I didn't post about it. I apologize. Like I said, I've been a little busy. For the people that do follow me, I'm sorry I have not posted about it. I have been busy. But for Misfits 22, uh, I'm shocked. That's all I gotta say. I'm shocked. But what an amazing event! What a performance by all fighters. Um, I only watched, like I said, the highlights, and I only seen a couple of the undercard fights, so I can't say much for them. But I know Joey Essex got the win against his opponent, which I forgot the name of, but that was kind of a snooze fest in my opinion. And what they were doing is very dangerous too. It's definitely not what you should be doing going into a boxing match. You know what I mean? Going into a boxing match, one thing that they always try to tell you is protect yourself at all times. That's the first thing that the ref tells you is protect yourself at all times. And what were they doing? Definitely not that. They were not protecting themselves. Okay. I feel like each minute in the ring too for that fight, it's like they weren't even like it's not even the opponent or it wasn't themselves hurting each other. It was literally themselves hurting each other. Like because of the decisions they were making was causing them to just I don't know. I don't know what I was watching. But congrats to Tony Ferguson, I will say. What a performance. There is some controversial takes on that fight, rather between if it should have been stopped early, if it was stopped too early. Some people say no, they think it was stopped, perfectly on time. The fight probably would have, couldn't have gone any other way. That, we all seen how the fight was gonna go and how it was gonna play out. But I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not going to tell you rather I think the fight should have gone on early or rather it should have been stopped. You know what I mean? That's up to you guys. I'm just here. I'm just a messenger. But um I do think it was a great fight though. I think it was an amazing fight. And I'm very happy for Tony Ferguson. And it must feel really good for him to finally, get this win after so long of having going on this losing streak, a 7 losing streak, I think it was that he was going on. So, very happy for him and to see him, have his moment in the ring. What I mean? Coming to a new sport basically as well, because obviously, he has the MMA background, but MMA and boxing, it really is two different worlds, when look at the bigger picture, it really is two different worlds, two different sports. It's ridiculous. But I was very happy for Tony Ferguson. It was good to see him get his win, and I thought it was an amazing performance by him for his first boxing match. I think he did really well, better than I expected. Um, yeah. And then after that, we had that wrapped up with fireworks from Darren Till and Luke Rockhold. I thought that was an amazing performance by Darren Till, and I was not expecting that knockout to be so quick. Um, if you were gonna tell me that Darren Till was gonna knock out Luke Rockhold, okay, I would have believed you. That early, no. Like if you'd have told me maybe, within the fifth round, okay, I could see that. But I did not think it was gonna happen within the first. I did not. That was a very, very early knockout. Um, but again, an amazing performance by UFC legend Darren Till. Um, and I think that's exactly what he needs on his early, resume or record per se for boxing. I think that's exactly, something that he needs. And I think I think it's great what he's doing. And I think he's doing a very good job at it. And I forgot, I keep forgetting that Darren Till is a little, he is younger than what people think, so he's still got some time in there. But I think a potential fight for me personally, what I think would be interesting to see is a Darren Till versus a Jake Paul. I think that would be interesting, you know, since it seems like the KSI and Jake Paul fight's never gonna happen. Um, that could be an exciting fight. And personally, I'm gonna say this right now, I don't wanna see either of them fight Tommy Fury again. I'm just sorry, but I don't think either of those fights should happen again. None of those guys. Either of those guys should fight Tommy Fury again. I feel like that's just no. I feel like it shouldn't happen again. Move on. Old news. I will say though, I feel like looking at it though, and a lot of people don't realize it, I think, but for the way I look at it for the KSI Jake Paul fight, right? I think I think Tommy Fury, him coming into the scene and disrupting everything, calling out Jake Paul and, him having his, fight with KSI. I honestly personally think that that's what caused sorry. I personally think that's what caused us to potentially lose the fight between KSI and Jake, or at least all the hype. You know what I mean? At least I think it killed the hype. Going into that fight, or before those fights, it was always that, KSI Jake Paul. What would happen? KSI Jake Paul, and then Tommy Fury comes in and beats both of them. You know, um, I mean, some may argue that, oh, he didn't beat them fairly though. Wasn't It's not like he came in and just wiped the floor with them, which I agree he definitely didn't. But I definitely think him coming in and swooping both those fights and then just like I don't know, I feel like it either one killed the hype for influencer boxing or two just killed the hype for the KSI versus Jake Paul fight. Which could be another big reason on why it hasn't happened yet. You know what I mean? Because we were supposed to been got that fight. That's why KSI had his big return in the first place was because of this. Oh, we're finally gonna get the Jake Paul versus KSI. We're finally gonna get the Jake Paul versus KSI, and then it doesn't happen. So I blame both parties though. I'm not on either side. I don't take sides in that matter of oh who's ducking who or whose team is not doing what. I think it's both parties' fault. You know what I mean? If they both really, really wanted this fight like they talked about, it would have been happened. Obviously, neither of them want the fight because it hasn't happened. So you can take it how it is, but that's how I look at things. So, you know, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Again, back to the Darren Till thing. Amazing performance. Congratulations to him. I want to know what you guys think or who you guys would like to see him fight. Personally, I think a Jake Paul fight would be interesting to see. But you guys let me know who you guys would like to see him face. It could be anybody. But yeah, congratulations to Darren Till. Um, and I'm excited for the Canelo versus Crawford. Moving on to things. Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. Look, if you would have told me 3 years ago that we would have gotten this fight, right? I probably would have called you completely insane. I probably would have told you this fight would never happen. It would never get signed. Nobody would ever let this fight happen. But it's happening. It's happening. This fight is happening, y'all. Tank Davis will be taking on influencer boxer Jake Paul. It is going to happen. What are my thoughts? Um, I don't know. I guess I have been saying try something new, but I guess this is them trying something new. I don't know if this is what boxing is going to become now, just a bunch of exhibitions where we mix up people's weight. The reason why I want to talk about this fight is I want to talk about another fight with this because we only have so much time here, so I want to kind of quickly begin to wrap things up. But I want to talk about both fights: Mayweather versus Tyson and Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. Um, First of all, why is Mayweather and Floyd happening? Um, you know, Mike Tyson struggled against Jake. I don't think he's going to be able to fully. I'm sorry, let me not say struggle. Um, he struggled to put away Jake, and now we want him to fight the greatest fighter of all time, Floyd Mayweather. I mean, okay, the guy's old, he's retired, he's not the same Mike Tyson as he was before, but I mean, if y'all want to make more money, go ahead. You know what I mean? I thought, like Jake Paul said though, he made Mike Tyson all this money and a bunch of money and stuff, then why is he doing already another exhibition? with Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean? I don't know, maybe Floyd Mayweather offered him a bunch more money. Mike was just like, "Listen, I don't gotta do no more exhibitions after this, okay? I'll take the fight. Let's do it, Floyd." I don't know, maybe that's what coulda happened. Um, I don't think the fight personally should be made though, and I mean, I guess I'm gonna watch it just why not? You know, just because, you know what I mean? I am gonna watch it, I am gonna tune in to see what happens, I guess, but and potentially to see what the undercard is. Hopefully they do have an interesting undercard for that fight because I don't think they're gonna put a whole 12 rounds in that fight. I don't think it's gonna go through like 12 rounds. If anything, they'd be smart, add a very good undercard in there, and then make the Floyd and Tyson fight a 6 round exhibition, and then maybe throw in a very good undercard with some good like a stacked card in there. That's what I would do. But I don't know. Who knows? Jake Paul versus Davis. So this is a very hard fight. It's literally at this point. I don't care what anybody says. By the way, to me, this is how I'm gonna look at it. It's basically skill versus like 1% skill and a bunch of weight, right? That's what we're looking at going into this fight. It's a bunch of weight going versus a bunch of skill. You know what I mean? Not to say Jake Paul doesn't have skill, you know what I mean? But compared to what Gervonta Tank Davis has, you know what I mean? Even if he hasn't been taking the sport seriously as he, says he tried, you know what I mean? As much, yeah, he maybe he hasn't been taking the sport serious, recently. But um, the skill's definitely there. Um, so going into it, I don't know what to expect, honestly. Um, because this could go two ways. Okay, I'm just gonna say it straight up. This can go two ways. Either Jake Paul somehow bullies Tank with his weight and then stays on the back foot and then just slowly outboxes him, maybe? Not outboxes him, but, just survives and, just puts all the weight on him and just puts the pressure on him. Or Tank just lights him up the whole night. You know what I mean? Because Jake is a flat-footed boxer. He's not, you know what I mean? He doesn't move around that much. So maybe if Tank runs circles around him all night and just lights him up the whole night, that's probably Tank's best bet. I don't know, maybe he has his own game plan for it, but we'll see. Anyways, to wrap things up with boxing, we're going to move on to skateboarding. Um, and I really want to talk about this because honestly, I wanted to talk about this live too because I couldn't wait to talk about it. I'm recently getting back into skateboarding again, and I gotta say, like, I forgot how hard, I guess you could say it is, how frustrating it could be. Um, but, I haven't really, you know what I mean? Because when growing up, with skateboarding, I was introduced by skateboarding by my, one of my good friends. Um, you know what I mean? Who I just recently started talking to again. We've recently gotten back into contact again, which is, good. Um, but I never really took it serious as much people do, skateboarding this, I wasn't, the biggest fan until I was maybe like 14. But I have been enjoying a lot more, especially, since, I've been I mean, like I said, I'm a dad now, I'm a dad, I just had a newborn baby. You know what I mean? I rarely get time to play the game. But whenever I can, you know what I mean, I try to have, that skateboarding time. It has been fun. But what I want to talk about today is something that I wanted to. So I know how people sometimes, they'll take a topic and then, they'll take like a sport or like a game and they'll take characters and be like, oh, this is my Mount Rushmore for this and this. Or this is like, my Mount Rushmore for boxing, my Mount Rushmore for gaming. Um, I wanted to do like my version of that, but for skateboarding, my Mount Rushmore for skateboarding. And then I want to see what you guys think about it. And I have one. I have a Mount Rushmore for skateboarding. Um, and I wanna know what you guys think. Now, you like I said, I wanted to put the part in there to where, I didn't get into skateboarding until I was, like, around, like, 14 or so, like, early middle school, because, have some of the newer guys in there too, you know what I mean? Because skateboarding, it isn't well known as it is now, as much as it was, like, in the '90s, um, or the '80s. So just like boxing, like we were talking about earlier, I guess those two has something in common. There you go. I found something that boxing and skateboarding have in common. Uh, they haven't been as relevant or popping since the '80s or '90s. But back to what I was saying. Uh, so coming into it, I see a lot of these younger guys. So if you guys see, any of these new people, and say, "Oh, why is this person in here, not this person?" Listen, this is just my opinion. If you guys want to make your own Mount Rushmore, that's why I'm asking. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments if you're watching after the fact or if you're watching live. If you want to let me know what your Mount Rushmore is for skateboarding. But I'm gonna tell you mine right now. I got mine. I got mine right here. Are you ready? I'm gonna make it five. Okay, five. So we're just gonna say top five. All right. So let me know what you guys think. Okay. So for my number one, gotta go to Rodney Mullen. Gots to go to Rodney Mullen. Why? Because what would skateboarding be without him? Okay, that's just gonna sum it up. I feel like I don't need to say anymore. If you guys don't know who Rodney Mullen is, and you're a skateboarding fan, you've been living under a rock. So go do some research, watch a couple of videos. If you don't know who Rodney Mullen is in general, go look him up. Skateboarder, one of the OGs. If you guys know what a kickflip is, he's the one that invented a kickflip. So, um, Rodney Mullen. Okay, and then I'm gonna put Tony Hawk in there. I'm gonna put Tony Hawk in there because I feel like, a lot of people have their personal opinions about Tony Hawk and skateboarding, where they're like, "Oh, well, Rodney Mullen is really the king of skateboarding, not Tony Hawk." But I really think Tony Hawk did something different for the skateboarding scene, you know what I mean? I feel like he elevated it to what it was in the early '90s, you know what I mean? I really think he helped get it to that point. I really think he helped, a bunch of, kids, and a bunch of new people get into skateboarding. I mean, I feel like he brought skateboarding around the world, so I feel like he did a lot for skateboarding. I feel like skateboarding wouldn't be, as of a big thing as it was today for if it wasn't for Tony Hawk. And of course, because of the famous 900. So, Rodney Mullen, Tony Hawk. Okay, so we got both of them up there. Who's my third? Who's my third? Okay, here's my third. Hear me out. Just because personally, he's always been my favorite skater. Um, you guys can say what you want. Like I said, personally, he's always been my favorite skater. So I gotta put him in three. And it got to go to the inventor of the ghetto bird, the man, the myth, the legend, Kareem Campbell. Kareem Campbell is going in my number three. So we got Rodney Mullen, Tony Hawk, Kareem Campbell. Why am I putting Kareem Campbell number three? Because I'm biased. But I can't be too biased and put him in number one or number two. So that's why I put him in number three. So number four. Number four is where I'm going to add in one of the newer skaters I was talking about. So for number four, I want to add in Andy Anderson. I feel like Andy Anderson has been doing like a lot for the sport of skateboarding recently. Like I said, you have a lot of the older skateboarders, which a lot of the older generation can relate to. But as of new people, we don't really have that many as on. Give me one second, y'all. I do apologize. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. We were gone for a little longer. Anyways, wrap things up though. Like I said, this is gonna be I'm gonna make this a little shorter. 'Cause like I said, I don't have much on skateboarding right now. It's the first week of the show. I do apologize. So, uh, still got to get scripts together. But next week we are gonna have um, a longer what's the word I'm looking for? We're gonna have a longer script for this portion of the episode for the next episode for next week. For skateboarding, I'll make it up to you guys, but I'll finish my top five and then we'll move on. So Tony Hawk, Rodney Mullen, Kareem Campbell, Andy Anderson. I'm putting Andy Anderson at number four. For my Mount Rushmore of skateboarders. Um, just because more or less I've just been watching a lot of Andy Anderson. Whenever I do watch any skateboarding content, it's usually Andy Anderson. Um, and yeah, I think, you know what I mean, out of all the younger guys in the scene right now, I feel like, he's doing great. He's always going on tours, he's always skating. You know what I mean? Anytime you see him, he always has a skateboard in his hands. And I really think, what I mean, just I really think I think he's a good guy. You know what I mean? I've never met him personally, but you can just tell from his energy through his videos, whatever he does. I respect him, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? I think he's a really cool person. So, Andy Anderson. Um, and also, I'm also putting Andy Anderson up there because I don't know what it is, but that guy has the power to land every trick he hits. I don't know what it is, but if you go and watch Andy Anderson, every video you see, I mean, you'll see a little fails here and there, but I don't know what it is. Every time he goes to hit something, he always lands it. So I don't know. I'm putting him in number four for that reason because I don't think you could do that. Um, Number five, I'm gonna put the one, the only. Ooh, I don't know. See, this one's tied. This one's tied. My number five's tied because if I do put this person here, I don't want you guys to be like, "Oh, rating you here, and what about blah, blah." This is my opinion. Like I told you guys, this is my route, my Mount Rushmore. Okay, this is if you know what I mean. If you guys want to tell me what y'all do, let me know down in the comments. If you're watching after the fact, if you want to let me know now, let me know now. We'll talk about it. We'll discuss it, or you can come up to the show and talk afterwards if you feel like it. Um, Anyways, but my number five, I'm gonna have to go with Ryan Sheckler. I'm gonna go with Ryan Sheckler. Why am I putting Ryan Sheckler at number five? This could change. I know this is controversial, but why am I putting him up here? For this reason only. Um, when Ryan Sheckler first started skating and getting introduced to this, fame and stuff, he was very young. And at the time, I remember, hearing about him and stuff like that and watching Ryan Sheckler and stuff. And, I was like, and then when I finally heard about all the stuff that he went through, I was just like, wow, it is crazy. But it's like he used all that energy and like all that, everything that he was going to just to focus it all on skateboarding. And I'm putting him my number five because I'm giving him credit here today. So Ryan Sheckler. Let me know what you guys think of my top five, of my route Mount Rushmore for skateboarders. If you guys don't like it, that's fine. Anyways, I want to talk about horror now. What would I want to talk about specifically? The new series that's coming out soon by next year. The new Friday 13th series called the Camp Crystal Lake series. Um, I guess it's going to be a prequel to the part one of Friday the 13th, which honestly, I don't know how I feel about that because I don't necessarily know, or I don't feel like I need a prequel series to Friday the 13th, especially to part one, just because like I feel like you already have what's there, like, you know what I mean? You already have the foundation, like, you know what I mean? You already know the story, you know what I mean? You can only retell it so many times. And what do you I guess I'm saying, what are they really gonna add? Are they just gonna add Pamela going around Camp Crystal Lake just killing counselors here and there? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's only so much they can do with the series. I'm gonna be there to watch it, of course. I'm a big horror fan, so I'm gonna be there to watch it. But I don't know how they're gonna go on about it. You know what I mean? Doing a prequel series for Friday the 13th Part One. As I feel like that movie already serves as a prequel for the whole Friday the 13th franchise. You know what I mean? Because before you watch any of the Friday the 13th movies, I feel like you should start with that movie. That is where it starts. It's where the story begins. That's where you learn about Jason. It's where you'll find, you know what I mean? That's where you find out all the important stuff. That's where, that's your foundation. You know what I mean? Friday the 13th Part 1 is your roots. I don't feel like we need a prequel series that goes back in time and explains other events for Pamela. I don't think we necessarily need it. But maybe we do. On the other hand, us Friday the 13th fans haven't gotten anything in a while since 2010 with those reboots, which I wasn't a big fan of. You know what I mean? If you were, cool. Me, no. But that's the last time we gotten anything from Jason or from Friday the 13th from that, world of characters. I mean, we haven't gotten anything from them for a long time. So maybe we do need a prequel series for Friday the 13th. You know what I mean? Refresh everybody, refresh the new generation of people for Friday the 13th. You know what I mean? That's what we need. I mean, bring some new people to the franchise. You know what I mean? Like I said, they haven't had anything come out since 2010. So maybe that's what they want to do. You know what I mean? Show this new generation and, about Friday the 13th. You know what I mean? Explain it. So that way they can get excited for what's to come for the franchise. You know what I mean? Since all this legal stuff is over. So yeah, but I'm gonna be able to watch it. I'm excited because, it's Friday the 13th. I'm a big Friday the 13th fan, but I personally don't think I need a prequel series for it. But I am excited. I'm gonna be able to watch it. And whenever it does come out, I will for sure update you guys on the show or on Twitter, on Instagram if you guys follow me, what I think of it. Um, moving on, moving on music wise. I wanted to talk about music for a little bit because I seen I'd seen DJ Khaled respond to all the rap beef that's been going on for the past couple of years. I mean, just everything. It's been going on with Drake and all these people and stuff. And it's DJ Khaled. He's funny, but one thing that I think about DJ Khaled is I think he's a slug. Honestly, I think he's very slimy himself. He's probably not like these P Diddy's or anything, but behind the scenes, I don't think. But then again, maybe, because how he responded, if he did an interview with Joe and I forgot what their name are. But anyways, did an interview recently and he's talking about all the rap beef and he's, they're asking him, what about the Drake stuff and stuff. What do you got to say on that? And he's just like, man, nothing. All positivity. I'm all about positivity. I don't have nothing to say about them. I don't say anything about them. I don't know, I think that's crazy because personally, to me, I don't know, I feel like DJ Khaled is more of a person pleaser in my opinion. I feel like that's why he doesn't have nothing to say about it or why he doesn't wanna shoot, you know what I mean? Or maybe he just doesn't have nothing to say about it, People don't always gotta say their opinions or state their opinions or say how they feel about a situation, but me personally, I think DJ Khaled has I think DJ Khaled is hiding something himself. And I think he is a person, a people pleaser. So, I don't know. I would just say watch out for DJ Khaled, though. I'm telling you, watch out for DJ Khaled. Um, Another thing I want to talk about is the rock genre. I've been concerned about because I've been, for the last couple of days, I've been listening. I listen to rap and rock and roll. And those are my two genres that I listen to is rap and rock. Um, But I was listening to an old couple of rock songs recently, a couple of Ozzy Osbourne songs. As you guys know, R.I.P. to the King Ozzy. Recently passed away in July. Sad, very sad news. Big Black Sabbath fan, so it was heartbreaking, heart crushing to me. But um, one thing I do want to say is I feel like the rock genre, like the rock, community. I feel like we need something new as well. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to say rock and roll is dying or heavy metal is dying, but I also feel like it's not doing good. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's just what's going on in the world right now. I mean, as you guys know, there's not that many concerts going on. You know what I mean? Thankfully, it's not like how it was back in COVID days, but what I mean, there's not that many concerts going on. Ozzy just passed, so that could be the reason why everybody's quiet. But recently, I don't know, for rock and roll and heavy metal, things haven't been too loud lately. So I've just been wondering personally, what I mean, what's going on and what you guys think of the rock and heavy metal genre and what you guys think it would need to be revived. Because personally, I just don't think it's doing the best. But obviously we'll always be a rock fan. Um, so but anyways, listen, I do apologize. I am already over my time on the show. Um, I apologize that, I'm sorry about the last bit of this kind of being a little rushed. And I'm sorry, if there was any problems during the stream. Like I said, this is our first episode, so next episode will be a little better. But thank you everybody who tuned in and watched for our first episode. I do appreciate it. Usually around this time, I would have people come up and say what they want to say and get a chance to speak. But we don't really have anybody in here right now. But if there was people in here, I'd let you have a chance to speak over on the via X, via Twitter right now. It let you come up on the space and say what you want to say, and we discuss. But nobody's here right now, so that's fine. But um, I do want to, before I close off this, I want to just say, I pray for everybody, in the world right now. I know, this world is going through some dark times, some evil times. There's a lot of hate going on, on and around the world right now. And one thing I just want to say is, bless everybody. I hope, whatever you're going through, whatever anybody's going through, I hope it gets better. And, if you just know you're not alone, just know you're never alone. Um, and yeah, if you ever need anybody, grading's here. You can always tune into the grading show. Um, but I did just want to say that. Bless everybody. Stay safe. This world is crazy. This world is scary. But remember, you can only change it by looking in the mirror. It only starts with you. So remember that. Um, Other than that, I love you guys to death. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Hope you guys have a blessed day. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your morning. Hopefully I will too. Um, Probably won't, but anyways, I love you guys. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share the show to everybody that you know, to your friends on all your social medias. I love you guys. I appreciate the support. And yeah, thank you guys for this amazing first episode. We'll see you guys next Saturday. Thank you.